Please put up any scripture you know that calls God the Alpha and the Omega. For example, the ending of the Bible said that. The beginning of the book of Revelation also said that. Yeah, look at ending chapter. This is the last chapter. If you go to the first chapter of the book of Revelation, you also see it. How can one person be A and be Z? Pastor Ben, how can one person be beginning and the end? Look at it there. And he said, he is the Lord which is, that's present, which was past, and which is to come. He's telling you he is not limited by time. God lives in eternity. And in eternity is an eternal now. I didn't used to understand it until I understood it. I didn't used to understand it. When I understood it, it sorted out all the problem. Because eternity is not one long line that keeps going and going and going. 1,000 years, 10 billion years, 1 trillion years. That's not how it is, my friends. Eternity is a circle. So once you stand in the middle, you see all of it. You see all of it. Eternity is not one long line. 5,000 BC. And then we're looking into the future. 10,000 AD. No, it's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle. And because it's a circle, you can see it all. When you left your house, at that moment when you got up on your way to this place, your location was your house. Your destination was the church. The church was the future. Your present was your house. I can even say that your past was the toilet where you visited this morning, the bedroom, and your bedroom where you slept. And we can go further to some of the other places you went to last night. That's your past. But you see, when somebody rises in an helicopter, in an airplane, he can look at you where you are now, look at your office, your past, where you worked last week, and look at the church where you say you are going this morning. And all of them he can see because of the position that he has. So he sees the past, present, and future. When you drop back down on the ground, you only see the present. You see the future only when you get there. These are the two things that gives God omniscient power. God does not view things from the ground. His positioning where he stands, he's able to see it all. So if you think of eternity as a straight line, his position allows him to see from the beginning of the line to where you are headed. So he is past, present, and future. You got that one? That's eternity, viewing it as a line. I've told this story some years ago. I was driving in Lagos, and the radio in my car said the third mainland bridge is blocked. And I used to live in the mainland, and I was headed to the island. And I just got to the edge of the bridge, looked at the bridge. There was nothing happening. And I saw cars going. But the radio said it's blocked. Follow the Stadium Road, the Surrey Road, if you don't want to be stuck in the traffic. So I looked again with my eyes where I was present. And I saw cars overtaking me because I slowed down. They were entering the bridge going, and I looked into the bridge. There was nothing blocked anywhere. So I decided to follow the The knowledge of only one dimension out of 3 dimensions. Somebody is seeing the future where I have not reached because he's in the aircraft. Those guys giving us traffic information fly with helicopters and they are reporting to their radio stations. But I'm in the present. The man is seeing the present where I was. He is seeing the future where I was headed. He is even seeing the past where I was coming from. I was driving from Ogbueli. At that moment, at the edge of the bridge, I can't see my past anymore, where I left. But he can see it. So it's called the eagle's view or the helicopter view. You can imagine where God sits at the circumference of the universe. If you see where he sits, everything, past, present, and future, are all a spread out sheet before him. So that's one view when you draw it on a straight line. But the reason God said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, put it up again, the beginning and the end, is because God created the universe to move in cycles. Once you understand life cycle, you can start predicting the future, and you can predict the past, and you can understand the present. So a woman does not need a prophet or a doctor to tell her when her next period will come, because this period moves in cycles. If you calculate the last 3 ones and date them, you can predict the next ones that are coming. Are you now understanding what is going on? God created the earth. Look at Hamatan is just living. But we know exactly when it's going to come again. We know when Abuja gets very hot. And we know when it's going to get very hot again in 5 years' time. Do you know why? Everything is moving in cycle. Whether you call them weather, whether you call them years. That's why you saw January last year, and you've just seen January again this year. And now January of this year has become past. But another January is coming. And when you get there, the same atmosphere, the same Hamatan, because eternity is not one long line. It is repetitive events. The one you call history is going to show up again. Put it up. This thing we're seeing in Nigeria, we've seen it before. The only difference is that those who now learn from the past can correct the future. The future is not fixed. Your decisions decide your future. Your actions decide your future. God can promise you a glorious future and you destroy it with your actions. The future is not fixed. The future can be changed. Destinies can be aborted. Just like you can abort a baby, you can abort a life. You can abort a destiny. And somebody going in the wrong direction now can change it and start heading in the right direction. It's not too late to be right. Let me show you something. The only place where the beginning is also the end is in a cycle. Because if I draw a cycle now, where I call the beginning, when you complete that cycle, is that same spot that is the end. That's why when you have a clock, they are giving us electronic clock that is just saying, if you have a real clock, it's a cycle. There is a place they write 12 on top. Do you know that place is also the hour called 24? The other 12. That 12 is 212. It's always on top. It's 2. Any spot you meet there is double in a clock. Because that 12 where the day gets bright and the sun comes up is also the 12 when the night gets dark. That 12 is when the day begins and you enter another day. That 12 is when the last day ends. If you know that, you know that when you are in a midnight of your life, is also the breaking of a new dawn of your own life. Don't let anybody confuse you. Life is not a dot. You have had it so bad. Know that there is no other place to go than to break into a new dawn. So, you see now, that's why God is Alpha. He starts. But he's also Omega. He is A and Z. Because he's the same spot. So he can be both. Because everything moves in a cycle. Okay. Some of you are not getting it. Let me help you. Pastor Ben. There are 2 books in the Bible. Every other book is in between them. The first one is called Genesis. Do you know the meaning of Genesis? It means beginning. Okay. The last one is Revelation. If you read those 2 books, especially chapter 1 of Genesis and chapter 2, then chapter 21 of Revelation and chapter 22 is also 1 again. I told you about 12. Chapter 1 Genesis and chapter 2. Chapter 21 Revelation and chapter 22. Watch what you see in these 2 books. There are certain things that disappeared in Genesis after chapter 2 because of man's rebellion. They reappeared in Revelation because of Christ's victory. You will see that the tree of life disappeared after man's rebellion. How many of you have seen that tree? You've been wondering, where did the tree go? The river of life disappeared. God used to live in a garden. The earth was a garden city, a paradise. Garden city. You look at that chapter 1 and 2, God was dwelling among men, not far from people. And people are crying, praying, trying to reach him. The glory of God was dwelling among men. Go to chapter 21 and 22. All the things, the tree of life is back. The river of life is back. The glory of God is back, dwelling among men. If you read Genesis again, Pastor Ben, you will notice there were some things that were introduced because of man's rebellion. That's from chapter 3 down. Because of the rebellion of Adam, these problems arose. You go to Revelation 21 and they disappeared. There are 7 things. Oh, maybe I should show you. There are 7 things Revelation said that shall be no more. If you know this, what you need to know is that when you are in the process, don't make a mistake of thinking that this is all there is to your life. You see what is going on with Nigeria? We are just in the middle of the chapter of the book. People like us that have read the end of the chapter know where the story ends. That's why you can't see me with one stress on my head. Don't let politicians stress you. Excuse me, sir, you're a politician. You're a lawmaker. The Bible says righteousness exalts a nation. So you can't build a nation on injustice. What happens is that when you create justice, justice delivers peace and stability. Nobody agitates. Everywhere is calm. Then environment of peace and stability, it creates the enabling environment for prosperity and development. So don't worry about economic prosperity and all that. Get justice and righteousness in a place. You can show them what I'm saying. Righteousness exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach. Corruption, injustice is what destroys nations. So you see, justice is what you put as a foundation. It doesn't matter who wins, everybody will accept it. Because you did justice. Everywhere you see war, everywhere you see insurrection, everywhere you see instability, everywhere you see lack of peace, including families, everywhere you see problems, kata, injustice. Righteousness is the first thing you must learn to bring into anything. You're doing business with other people. Don't go in the middle of the thing and take all the money and cheat them. See those men that chase other people's wife. If you near their wife, even you guys who are politicians, you know your colleagues. Those ones that are so dirty, jump around, spoil little girls. So, when you bring them to your house, you are doing something. You don't want your daughter to come out to greet them. And even if she comes, hey, you give her a sign, leave. Because you don't want the devil to be your in-law. There's a scripture, I think it's Proverbs 19 verse 21. It said, there are many devices in a man's heart. I will quote it again. But the counsel of the Lord, that will stand. This is why God tells us, when you are in the process, don't be confused by the process. Don't be confused by it. Because it's a cycle. Finally, it will get you back to where you are headed. That's why, if, for example, now, when people are praying, and they're telling God about things happening on earth, and they want change, they think God is shaking. Maybe in heaven, they are having a Black Friday, like the day Jesus died on the cross. Even the moon mourned and the sun mourned. There was eclipse for 3 hours. You think when you get to heaven, that heaven is, no, God is just relaxed. When I used to watch, and I still love, WWF wrestling, and I watch some of these guys, I'm the one having heart attack. Nick Man that owns that system is in the situation room watching the thing, very relaxed, drinking tea. And I'm having heart attack watching. Because my favorite star, maybe Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior or the Undertaker. I like the Undertaker. I never want the Undertaker to be defeated. But towards the ending of his journey, when they wanted to get rid of him because he was going to retire, it has been discussed and agreed. The man has a wound, he wants to retire. They organized a match to finally send him away. And in the match, he was the one winning, doing all of those things. When they threw him on the ground, he was lying like a dead man. They call him a dead man. And then this guy jumped from that place on top of him. All of a sudden, he just stood up, rolled his eyes, and then that bell rang. And then the Undertaker gave that sign. Once he gives this sign, you are finished. But then he goes and grabs the guy like he normally does to lift him to finish him up. The guy broke off that thing and pinned the Undertaker, and the Undertaker was defeated. I had heart attack for almost... It was when WWE created their own channel and then created behind the scene event. I was now watching how they even had a discussion. So this match has been set. The man behind the scene knows the end before the beginning started. The man that is watching from his house is the one that is being fooled. It's like the producer of a movie. They finished the movie. Now, but the premiering is on Friday. You get to the hall to watch the premiere. Meanwhile, the man is the one that made the movie. He saw how it ended. He even has a copy of the complete movie.
But you are starting the journey. So you see when they threw the major actor from the helicopter and he's falling, and you say, oh. In God's book, I can tell you what the end is. We won.